I arrived at work one day to a training course to find that we'd be playing a game. For the game, we were broken down into teams. Each of the teams was given a bag of goodies. The items in the bags had point values, and for each round of the game, points would be calculated. What we didn't know was that we could earn extra points based on relationships formed during the game. So each round went through, and those points were calculated. We worked out that each team had clues that would help the other teams. I started in my team and thought, I'd like to be as easygoing as possible within my team. So, when all the trading was happening, we contributed, made a few trades. But pretty soon, we noticed that other teams didn't seem like they were trading fairly. In fact, we didn't know if we could trust them. Were their trades worth the value that they were saying? As a result, members of my team got frustrated. They basically sat out. And because of my planned approach, I basically lost my team. We were no longer participating. To summarize how we played, reliability. No one knew if they could count on us to get any clues. Credibility. They didn't know if the clues we traded were worth what we said they were worth because we'd stopped actively participating. In fact, we looked like we were all about ourselves, like we weren't trying to help other teams anymore. The reason for this game was really quite profound. They say that healthy relationships and human interaction are key to reducing anxiety. Seems a bit odd to me, given that some relationships and interactions feel like they create anxiety. Seems like something that if we had a bit of a toolkit, we could make it easier to communicate with others. I told my friends that I was going to be doing this talk. I got some pretty interesting responses. A little bit surprised, a little bit like, really? You? Rather than get defensive, I tapped into my toolkit. You see, when they said that to me, I felt a bit like a phony. But rather than allow myself to feel a bit of an alert from it, I tapped in my toolkit to allow my response to flow out. I let them know that this doesn't mean my relationships are perfect. Rather, it means I have tools to make it easier to interact with others. Ever have a conversation or an interaction with somebody and wonder, what just happened here? Or, why are they so weird? The list goes on for the reasons that we could have those sorts of interactions with others. For me, there was a time when it happened. I didn't know which interaction it was going to be. Was it going to be the type of interaction with a friend that makes me feel good, makes me feel supported? Was it going to be the difficult one where I wondered, why are they so weird, the ones lacking connection? Or was it going to be the natural ones that ebb and flow and we feel just the same at the end as we did when it started? I likely tapped into my natural extroverted self and just chatted my way through that interaction. Afterwards, I thought to myself, yeah, that's all right, I got that. And little did I know, they possibly had quite a contrasting experience. So this is why, when I arrived at a course and found they were covering the trust equation, I thought, this could be the tool I'm looking for. Now, I must let you know that none of what I'm telling you represents any of my employers, past or present. But let's get back to the trust equation. As I'm about to do with you now, the instructor walked us through the trust equation. We wrote it down in our books, and we moved on to the next topic. But when it came up a few years later, This time, at the course that I was talking about before where we played the game, that's where the trust equation came to life. You see, what we found is all the other teams were calculating their trust in us. Before I put the trust equation on the screen, let me first make sure we're on the same page about the maths here. And for those who enjoy maths, I do hope you like this, because even relationships can be calculated. In maths, we have, in the trust equation, we have terms that can be summed up. There's 3 of them in the numerator. And then there's 1 term in the denominator. After you add up the 3 numbers, you do the division. What happens when you have a denominator that's large? You get a small answer. And when you have a denominator that's small, we get a large overall answer. In the case of the trust equation, we want the largest overall answer. All right, so here it is. Trust equals reliability plus credibility plus intimacy. Add all those together and divide it by self-interest. I'll now explain each of the terms in my own words. Reliability. Reliability is the extent to which you can predict the outcome of an interaction with somebody, the extent to which we know we can believe in them. So, given all the esteemed talks before mine, I hope you too will believe this one is worthy of your time. Credibility. Credibility is the extent to which we believe in their level of knowledge and expertise on the subject at hand. So, if I were to tell you that I cooked a healthy meal for my boys last week and they enjoyed it, you might feel my credibility is okay because I didn't big up my experience and I said, yeah, it was okay. And here's where I've got to choose my words a little bit carefully in a room full of teenagers. Intimacy. Intimacy in terms of the trust equation is a connection between people. When we do an activity together, when we play a video game together, when we share an experience, when we dissect the trust equation together. Add together your reliability, credibility, and intimacy, and get the highest number possible. And what damages all this greatness? Self-interest. Self-interest is easiest identified when it's high, when someone communicates all about themselves and their needs, not shared needs or mutually agreeable needs. For trust to be high, self-interest must be low. Given that we're all here for ideas worth spreading, I hope you too will feel that the self-interest is low. So, to summarize, trust equals reliability plus credibility plus intimacy, add them together, and divide it by self-interest. And the trust equation, therefore, is the first tool in my toolkit for maintaining healthy relationships and reducing anxiety. The real key to using the trust equation is to bring it to life, to play the game. Depending what you do with your life, your employer may put you into a course where you cover the trust equation. But if you don't play the game and do the calculation, how will you really see it happen? You see, for each of the terms, you could assign a score from 1 to 10. Calculate the addition, the division, and work it out. Voila. Perhaps had my team collectively thought through what the impact was on us stepping out of the game. Perhaps had the other teams thought through what it would be like for them to negotiate so hard for their items and possibly lose trust in others. We might have played differently. Perhaps with all those interactions where I thought, why are they so weird? I might have realized it was something totally different. The real key to using the trust equation is to be able to think clearly. Now, to think clearly, I need a bit of audience participation. So please join me. Please put your hands on your legs just above your knees. Feel the fabric of your clothes, or maybe feel your skin, or maybe feel the temperature of your skin. And now another stance. Please put your hands on your arms, just below your elbows. Notice if it feels a bit different, perhaps, from the first stance. And now, put your hands on your head. Press your fingertips a bit. Maybe feel your hat or your hair or the temperature of your skin. And the next stance, put your hand on your heart. It might be one hand or both hands. Was it your writing hand? Or maybe because you used both hands, it definitely was your writing hand. And the final stance, please put your hands in prayer position, palms together, fingertips up, thumbs maybe close to the heart. And now, please return to the stance that was most comfortable to you. Hands on the legs, on the arms, on the head, on the heart, or on prayer position. And keep them there for a moment. I'm going to need you to remember this stance because it's going to help you with the trust equation. But for the moment, please relax. Audience participation is over for the moment. I need to let you in on a bit of a secret. What we just did together was a form of meditation. It comes from Noah Beling's book, The Mindful Body. Noah launched her book back in February 2018. She presented her book at my company, and more than 150 attendees participated in the demonstration just like you did. Now, I want you to remember the stance, and please put your hands back in that stance for just a moment. You can even change in the middle if you feel you want a different one. And leave them there for 3, 2, 1, and relax again. Do you feel grounded? Perhaps slightly more grounded than you did earlier today? If we think about the trust equation, now that we meditated together, we might see it in a new light. The reality is, sometimes we don't think clearly. Can you think of a time where you responded quickly and didn't think clearly? No less admitted that it happened? By meditating together, we're able to tap into our own ability to feel grounded. And this, therefore, makes meditation the second tool in my toolkit. To go back to the trust equation, since we've meditated together, we could think about the terms in a new light, in a new angle. Reliability, well, I'm working through my topic, I've got a few minutes left to go, and hopefully you'll feel that I will finish on time. Credibility, each of the slides I've put up provided the source for the trust equation, for the mindful body, for the use of the stances. So hopefully you can see my credibility that I've brought together existing ideas to make a new one. And intimacy. Raise your hand if you looked around to see what stance anyone else took. We shared an experience together. We made a room of this size and this many people feel a whole lot smaller. And in terms of self-interest, we're all here for ideas worth spreading, thus keeping the self-interest low. There was a time where I thought I was at my lowest low. I felt like interactions had lost a lot of their meaning, like I couldn't get it right. Like at work, I wasn't going to be recognized for the great things I was doing, and people I was sharing information with were using it against me. I started meditating most days. I have a couple of poisons of choice. Both are free. The main one is called Headspace. It's an app easily recognized by an orange circle. By meditating most days, I found that I could better consider the trust equation in my relationships to better understand people and their body language. I started using the stances from the mindful body. I started thinking to myself, what could be different? And thus made using body language and tone of voice the third tool in my toolkit. You can meditate anywhere. Okay, 2 hands on your head might look a bit funny. I did just get away with it. But you could look like you're thinking. Notice what you feel when I use a different gesture. By using the gestures, both I feel it and hopefully you feel it. By using a toolkit of the trust equation, meditation, and body language and tone of voice to reflect both how you want to feel and how you want others to feel, you can create a new way for your river of thinking to flow. You see, we can all think differently. We can tap into the principles of neuroplasticity and Carol Dweck's growth mindset. We can find new ways to see the world, just as we've heard today. Think of neuroplasticity as a mountain with a river flowing down. A rock is on the mountain, it rolls down a little bit, the river finds a new path. And as that path is tracked more often with the river, so too do our ways of thinking make a deeper path, more ways to flow and take advantage of that toolkit. Rather than thinking, why are they so weird? We might just acknowledge, yeah, there's a few weird people out there, just not as many as we previously thought. We might respond more calmly, no matter what happens to us. So it's important to recognize when it would be helpful to feel grounded. Use a comfortable stance to reflect how you want to feel, and use a voice to reflect how you want others to feel. By using a toolkit that includes things like meditation, we can see things differently. We can consider our relationships from the angle of the trust equation. Anxiety can be kept in check, and you too may find that your lowest low is not as low as it used to be.